I am giving away 3 5% pieces of myself to the main event coming up next month at the World Series of Poker. All you have to do to enter is go to clpgiveaway.com, clpgiveaway.com, and the link is in the description, and enter. There are several things that you can do to get additional entries, including being a CLP subscriber, but check it out for your chance to win a 5% piece of my main event action. Non-hand call, and this is going to be Eric. Hello, Eric. How's it going?
Hey, Bart.
So walk us through the situation here. I do have some strong feelings about this one. I'm going to read your email just because it'll go a little bit slower, and I think people will get the gist of this. Okay, so Eric, who's on the line, says, I've never said something like this at a table. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm right or if I'm the asshole. Raised to 15 under the gun, 2 callers. I'm in the small blind with 9-6 of hearts. I call and the big blind calls. Speculative pre-flop there, Eric, by the way. Flop comes out 9-5-4, all diamonds. Hero has 9-6 of hearts in the small blind, right? So 2 players after me check out of turn, including the pre-flop raiser. I say something and use that info, and I lead out for 35. So Eric has a situation where he was going to check. He flopped top pair. Actually, I can probably just put this up here. So 9-6 of hearts in the small blind, and it comes out 9-5-4, diamond, 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 and it's what, 4 ways or something like that? Like,
correct.
Yeah, so 4 ways. So you were gonna check, but 4-way limp pot, but people check behind out of turn. So now you know that they're not gonna bet, right? So you lead. So you bet for 35, and the people who checked out of turn fold, and only the button calls. So
correct.
So now we're heads up, and the pot's probably like hero bets 35, button calls probably like 100 or something like that.
Yeah, a little over 100.
All right, so 100. And put this down here like this. And now the turn is an offsuit deuce. Okay, so turns offsuit deuce. You bet 85 and call again, right?
Yep.
Okay, so deuce X. Hero bets 85. Button calls. And now we are at 270. And again, hero has 9-6, right? 9-6.
Correct.
River was
It's the 2 of diamonds, so it's going to pair the 2, but put 4 flush out there.
All right. So River's the 2 of diamonds, puts a 4, and now what happens?
So I now just check because I assume he's probably just been chasing his diamond.
Okay.
But he checks back instantly.
Okay.
And then he says 2 pair, and I do the whole thing where I'm like, I also have 2 pair. He turns over his hand. We're opposite ends of the table. So he turns over his hand. And he goes, I have 3s. And I go, okay, well, have, top pair here. I have 9-6.
Okay.
Dealer grabs his cards, scoops them into the pile, grabs my cards, ships me the chips. I start stacking. Like I take a couple 25s, put in my stack. I make like 100 stack. And I'm like, collecting my pot. Someone who was never in the hand chimes in and goes, oh, hey, you have the 3 of diamonds over there. And the guy's like, what? And the dealer's like, what? And the dealer starts kind of like going through the, the shuffle. He hadn't like combined all the cards with all the dead cards and everything, but kind of like picks the guy's hand out, finds he has the 3 of diamonds. He's like, oh, he does have a flush. And so the dealer's like, I'm going to need to get all those chips back from you. So I have to like kind of start figuring out what I've already stacked and not stacked. And at this point, I'm like fuming because I'm like, this is where am I the asshole? So I'm fuming, and like I give the chips out, they give it to the other guy, and the other guy's like, thanks for pointing that out. And I say to the guy, I was like, just so you know, you shouldn't say that. That's not your job.
So
to which
go ahead.
Well, to which at that point the guy's like, what? And I'm like, it's not your responsibility to call out what he had. It's his responsibility to protect his hand, or it's the dealer's responsibility. I would like to preface it that I love this dealer. I love all the dealers in this room. Like, I'm not trying to call out the dealer, But the dealer at this point chimes in and he's like, no, it's all players' responsibilities. Anyone can correct me. To which to the dealer was like, I agree that anyone can correct you, but they shouldn't. So, it's not their job.
Okay, so this was in a casino, right?
And it was.
Okay, so this is in a casino. It's not like a home game or anything like that.
Correct.
So I've got one main question. I think I know the answer, but I just want to make it perfectly clear. So the guy that thought he lost, who had pocket threes, 2-pair on 9-5-4 deuce, but right, he tabled his hand. What I mean by, I think sometimes people, I might put this in the CLP glossary here too. When I say tabled, what that means is the cards are face up on the table. The guy has released his cards, and they're on the table face up.
Correct. He's released his cards. Okay. They're face up on the table, and we've gotten to the point where he has like even pushed them to the dealer, and the dealer has collected them.
So what I have always said here is that I actually agree with the dealer here, especially if it's in a casino. I personally think that it is the duty actually of the players to make sure the pot is pushed in the correct direction if the hand is properly tabled. That does not mean if some guy's holding the cards up. I mean, we had this call from, I think it was from last week, where, you get into these situations where, sometimes it will happen in Hold'em. It's a lot more common in Omaha High-Low that I play a lot, where you can see the guy next to you has the winning hand, but for some reason he's not tabling his hand. He's just holding it up. And, we get into this discussion, and it's really poor etiquette for you to say, hey, like, you have the winner there, if he doesn't table it, okay? But all bets are off when the hand is tabled. When the hand is tabled, it's actually for anybody to read. It's actually not the opponent's responsibility to read the hand. Now, he can obviously wants to pay attention and protect himself. So whoever chimed in and said that guy had the 3 of diamonds, I actually think is correct and is actually doing what he is supposed to do. Now, it sounds to me like you have a different feeling about this, and you're not alone. There's a lot of people that say, stay out of the hand, you're not in the hand, but that is always how I have learned that that a tabled hand is supposed to be handled. Now, I will say, with a caveat, if it was like a home game or a private game, all bets are off. I probably wouldn't get involved. Okay. Second, old content creator, and I haven't spoken to this guy in 10 years. For some of you old CLPers, and I'm sure this will probably get back to him at some point too. And maybe, I don't know if he's got a YouTube. I've never seen him in YouTube comments. I've seen him on Reddit. But Lyman, who hosts the PLO game at Commerce, from what I remember, and again, like I said, I didn't play in that game. It's been 10 years. I haven't spoken to the guy. He would take a stance as a host of the game that he would just stay out of these types of things. This was 5-10-20, where even though he probably, I mean, he's been, I'm sure he knows, I mean, he knows more about gambling than I do. He's been around longer than I have, and he's a very good gambler. So he would know that obviously tabled hands, the cards speak, and people should obviously, make sure that the pot goes in the right direction. I think that he sort of just made the decision in his own mind that it was better for his game not to say anything. Okay. There's also a little thing too. I don't know if this has changed or not, but I've talked about this many, many times where I don't want to get into too much. If you're interested, you can watch the Mariano video. If you're running it more than once with multiple players, all parties have to agree to run it more than once. So you can get into a situation where if a short stack is all in the main pot and they don't want to run it more than once, the players who have the large stacks that are all in, they can run the side pot more than once, but they can't run the main pot more than once. Now they can, but it will change the equities. Someone will actually have their equity taken away if the main pot is run more than once. In his game, I don't know if he never thought about this or what, but it was allowed, or he just wouldn't get involved. I would assume he probably knows the equities are changed, but hey, these guys want to do it, whatever. Now, he's a host, right? So there's that. But I will say, though, that I do have to disagree with you. And I've said this many, many times before, that I actually think it's the other player's duty. And I will speak up if I see the dealer pushing the pot in the wrong direction. And by the way, I forget your name, Eric, right? You absolutely have to do this in tournaments too. Absolutely have to do this in tournaments. Cash games are a little bit looser. When I got fourth in the monster stack in 2019, I remember a big hand where, and the guy that did this, his name was Matt Hughes, if anybody knows. He's like a little bit shorter guy, bald. I think he's a Midwestern guy. Played some mixed events. We're in the monster stack, and like I win this gigantic pot with like ace king versus tens or something like that, and I win. And even though all of us, and there were some experienced players at the table, we were all looking at the way that the dealer was paying me off. They were using those plastic chips at some of those big events at the series, which were sort of hard to stack, and the dealers were all new. And she didn't get it right, even though we were all looking at it and nobody said anything. Like, she didn't pay me off. She shorted me. And Matt Hughes said, "That's not right. You didn't give him enough. Like, you didn't pay him off enough." Stopped the tournament, ran him clocks back, whatever. They found out, and he was correct. So it's even more of an extreme in a tournament. But that is how I've always approached the game. Now, you think that they should stay out of it? I want to get your side, caller.
I think my major problem, and I was steamed at the idea because, I mean, if you look at the hand, like everything I did was pretty it was one of those things where I was like, hey, I got away with this. Now, I didn't notice he had a diamond either, but I was like, I can't believe I got away with like betting this hand I shouldn't have bet, blah, blah, blah. And so I was a little steamed that it turned out I hadn't. I was a little miffed about having to like redig through my chips, and the fact that the dealer like had to like find this man's hand out of them. Like, it was, you ever watch sports and they make a late flag call on something and you're like, whoa, that was a late call. Like, it felt very late callish to me.
Right.
Where like the hand seems very over. I've collected my chips. He's about to shuffle. And now someone's like, hey, you lost, you won. And
so you're saying that you wouldn't have been as upset if it was
instantly, if like right away it had happened, I probably wouldn't have cared as much.
So
I think like,
did they go to the cameras, or was it just like?
No, I mean, the pot was fairly easy to figure out, and I also like I said, I enjoy the dealer, I enjoy the room. I wasn't going to make a big fuss about it.
Right.
I wasn't mad at the dealer for missing it. I was just,
by the way,
annoyed at the one person.
You didn't see it either, right?
No, he was opposite side of the table. He's like, I have threes. I knew one was red, one was black, and just in my head, I was like, what are we calling down with threes for? Like, that's just my head.
So it sounds to me like you actually don't have an issue with the fact that somebody can call out a tabled hand. It was just a situation where it was a little bit late, right?
It was late, and I guess my thing is, and it's very much the am I the asshole? Because normally, like I said, I would never say something, but it had like pissed me off a little bit because it was so late that I did say something, and in saying something, I was like, am I the asshole here? Like, so yeah, which you have verified, and that is perfectly fine. I will live with that. So
yeah, no, I mean it's, I mean, listen, we all get heated and stuff at times too, right? I mean, there are rules too also about like kind of like an appeal in baseball, like, you know, it's got to be before the next pitch, or like instant replay. In the NFL, you got to do it before the next snap, right? There are rules in poker about when something can be corrected, and I think it's before I'm not 100% sure. Usually it's before the next hand is dealt.
The next hand. Like, I wonder if the dealer had like actually shuffled everything into like the actual deck and like was about to put it in, like if this would have been, well, it was way too late now. Like if it's one of those situations. So
I just, again, you know, to take away from this, like I said, I've been playing for 20 years. I think that in a casino environment, home game, private game is totally different. I wouldn't get involved ever. Well, it depends on the home game. I mean, if you're playing with a bunch of friends, right? It's just just different sets of rules, right? Different situations. But in a casino, like I will always speak up and say if something is going incorrectly, if the dealer is making a mistake, if the hands are tabled. And I think everybody should. So anyways, thanks for the call, Eric. I appreciate it.
Nope. Thank you, Bart.
All right.